I'm Dan Morris, you're watching Bosun Dan Bushcraft, and today we're making a video that I didn't really want to make. Well, that's not true. We're making a video that I didn't know that I wanted to make until a few conversations have ensued, and now I really do want to make it. And it is a proving video. It's not one I've made before. Brilliant. This is a video where I'm going to prove something. Because now I have had a couple of controversial videos, one of which being the why I hate folding stoves, which I'm not even gonna lie, I made that intentionally as rage bait because I know people do love them folding stoves, but I genuinely think they're appalling and pointless. Now that got me a few angry comments. Well, get over it. This one, however, it comes from when I did a bit of a, well, I'm still doing, but when I did a bit of a series about heating and general heating appliances and just ways that we can survive a little easier in the cold weather. Vitamin coffee. And it's fairly cold weather today. And the video that has caused the trouble is this. The plant pot heater. These have been relegated to the garden, so they're good and cold and wet. Because I actually started to use this, and I've said this story a few times. I actually used this once. I was camping in the camper van. My diesel heater copped out, and all I'd got is candles. So for the first night, I used the candles. It was cold, wasn't very nice. And then the next day, I came across a garden centre, and I remembered this heating idea, and I bought a couple of sets of plant pots and the you know, the thing underneath, I don't know what you call that, plate, tray, whatever it is, this thing, and set them up in the camper, and that got me through the rest of the week camping, warming the van. Now I know that it's a small space, obviously this isn't meant to do anything for an aircraft hangar. Just get rid of these. Now that being said, as I wander off screen again, that being said, even on top of the why I hate folding stoves video, there has not been a video that I have done that has attracted quite so much rage as the plant pot heater. Literal anger and in some cases abuse. I don't mind that. Go nuts. You'll always get it back. But here we are today. We're going to try and put this issue to bed. I'm going to prove to you that this works. Okay, that it will raise the temperature of any given small space, and it will do so better than just the candles. Now, I'll explain in greater detail later on in this video of the sort of reasons and all of that whatnot. We'll go into better detail there, but for the moment, let's just get on to what the actual test is going to be. So behind me here is a shed, my gym. It's got all my weights and all of that stuff in it. Now this shed is very well insulated. It's got 2-inch thick walls full of polystyrene insulation, and the roof's insulated and everything, and it's all timber lined, so it's a good space to do this with. It holds heat very efficiently, and it's quite easy to heat up as well, to be quite honest with you. So what I'm going to do is we're going to put a thermometer in there and 4 candles. So we're going to come back in an hour and see if it's raised the temperature versus the outside. Now I've had this door open for a little while this morning to make sure that the inside is as cold as outside, basically, because obviously that's what we need to make it a fair test. And I've got a couple of household thermometers, very basic thermometers here. And all I'm doing is I've just left these outside, sat on a wheelie bin, to check that they are calibrated together. So this one, which is quite a newer one than this, we're reading, what are we, 0, 1, 2, oh, it doesn't work like that. That one's saying about 5 degrees. And this one, what have we got, 0, yeah, about 5 degrees. They're reading around the same. Because of the way these work, I have to sort of wiggle them so you can see. Yeah, there we go. They are reading the same. Yeah, they're both telling me we're below 10 degrees. In an ideal world, I would have liked to have had exactly the same thing so that it looks exactly the same. It would be easier to read. But they are both telling me the exact same temperature of outside. Good, that's what we want, because like I said, we're going to go off with the temperature outside versus the temperature in there once these things have been running for 1 hour. So, first thing we need to do is hang this up in there and make sure that we do have the same ambient temperature. I mean, it doesn't matter if we don't, but I do need to know if there's a difference, because if the gym shed on its own is standing a couple of degrees higher than outside, I want to know that now. I don't want to have to factor that in afterwards. So I'm going to go pop that in there for a few minutes and we'll see what we get. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes. What we're reading here, 2, 4, 4 degrees. Excuse me. Let's go and have a look inside then. Now, I'm going to leave the light bulb on in here while we do this little experiment. The light bulb is LED, so it gives out fairly no heat anyway, but I will leave it on for both tests. I appreciate, because it's kind of a white light bulb, it's quite a horrible type of light, isn't it? I always prefer the warm white looking lights more than anything. I don't want to spend there we go. I don't want to spend too long in here, because obviously having a big sweaty man inside this place is going to raise the temperature. It doesn't take long in this space because it is such a well insulated space. And as you can see, she's relatively big as well. I don't know what the square footage is in here, I've never worked it out, but it's big enough to do boxing and jog on a treadmill and do all manner of weight training, so it's a fairly decent space for it. So what we got here, 2, 4, I'd say 5. I think inside of here is somehow holding about 1 degree above outside. So in the actual plant pot heater video, I did stress don't go nuts with the too many candles, because inside of that plant pot heater, because it's trapping the heat, what's happening is the wax melts to the point where every bit of wax in the candles is completely melted. Now that makes it vaporize, and you get gas vapors coming off it, which will be, you know, boiled petroleum products, and the whole thing will set on fire. So I know it's common sense to think if I bung a load more in there, it's going to be hotter and it's going to work better. Look, you see it? Steam. That's how cold we actually are currently. But don't. 4, 5 is your limit. And again, this isn't something I recommend that we leave unattended, because, you know, it's fire. And as I said, these candles, if they get too hot, they do have that nasty habit of all just erupting into flames. These are scented candles. It's just what I had lying around. They're actually quite nice. So we're going to run with, I think I said 5 candles a minute ago. Changed my mind. I've only got 4 in my pocket. We'll go with 4. And I don't have a lighter. All right then, guys. Let's light the candles and sing happy birthday. Now, safety is always paramount, so when you're doing this sort of stuff, always make sure you're wearing your safety Crocs. Time are we? Ooh, 10:15. I'm going to give it about an hour. So 11:15 is when we're going to come and check. What was I going to waffle? No, nothing. So what I'm going to do is get my big warm backside out of here, because like I say, I give off a lot of heat myself, and my presence in this shed is going to raise the temperature by a couple of degrees on its own, just by breathing and existing. So we shall come back in an hour and see how it's going. Now, I suppose I could leave the camera running, but the GoPro itself gives out a ridiculous amount of heat when it's left running. It gets really warm on its own, and I'm trying to make sure that there is 0 other heat sources in here to try and make this test as fair as possible. Now, here's a heater from a previous video. This is the Vala Junior. It lives in here. I use it to warm this space up when I'm going to do weight training in here, and it's a nice frosty morning. And it works very efficiently, very quickly. Great stove, you can boil a brew on it. It's in one of the other videos you've seen it. But I'll just open her up and leave her here like that so that you can see it's not lit. And I'll do that when we do it with the actual plant pot, just so we know. And there are absolutely no other sources of heat in here, with exception to the light bulb that I will leave on the entire time, and at the moment my warm self. Yeah, no other heat sources knocking about in here. Shall we do the full turnaround loop? And we go down to the power sockets, a brush and the door. Yeah, there's nothing else in here to give us any other heat. Nothing. Just the heat that's creeping out of me, and already with me being in here, we've pushed it up by 1 degree. I won't bother showing you that because it's irrelevant. What's relevant is, do the candles bring the temperature up? So what I'm going to do is, as I leave this shed, I'm going to waft the door a bit, let the cold back in, and then shut the door and leave it to make sure that it is that fair test. Right. We'll just let a bit of cold in, let my sort of body heat out. Alright then folks, it's been a little over an hour because I got distracted in the garage with what I was faffing with, and this is the outside thermometer. It's they're in 2 degree increments, and you can see we are at 4 degrees from the outside. This is outside's thermometer. Yeah, 4 degrees. And what have we got in here? 2, 4, 6, a little over 6. So in an hour, 4 tea lights have taken it 2 and a bit degrees up. So they have made a difference. They haven't done absolutely nothing, but they have made a difference. Yeah, it's raised it just a little. Now then, granted, yes, obviously, if you leave it longer, 2, 3, 4 hours, it might make more so of a difference. But we're not doing that. What we're doing is giving it the same amount of time, and we'll see basically. If you wanted to leave it all day, then yeah, lovely. I mean, this has just shot up to 8 from being in my warm pour here, so you know that's obviously going to make a difference. And this one's creeping back up to the sort of the just over 6. So we're looking about 2 degrees. It's been raised by just the 4 tea lights on its own. I'm going to hang that back up. This can go back outside in a moment. Firstly, we need to cool this shed down. Now we need to get it back to the temperature it was, as in the same as outside, to make it as fair as we can. So you can go back outside. It'd be a lot easier if I blew these candles out, wouldn't it really? Otherwise I'm fighting against the heat source at the same time. Right, okay, so here she is, the thing that's caused all the offence. Now, I've already had this lit in my garage next door, just because it's been outside and it was soaking wet through. So I've let it just dry itself out a little bit, just because it was soggy and I don't really want all that water dripping out of it. So I've let it sort itself out, and I'm not even on the screen. Hello. Let's take a seat now, just to show you. This is why the door is still open, because I know some people are going to say, but it was already hot when you brought it in, you know, the storage heater effect. I agree. Door's still open. We're still letting this environment chill out and cool down. Now, just to show. Only 4. Just 4. Yeah? You could probably get away with 5. I'm not going to do that because I have to leave this unattended in here. I can't sit with it. Well, I could, but I'm not sitting in here for an hour because my body will raise temperature. I have to leave this place. I know it's not going to burst into flames with only 4 tea lights, so that's all we've got. So I'm going to put it back together. Nice and carefully. And we'll be back in an hour to check that temperature. So, alrighty then. I've been standing around drinking coffee, checking nonsense on my phone, and now it is time to go and see how the shed is getting on. Obviously we're not in the shed right now. This is the garage. A bit cramped because I'm holding a camera and other things. So let's go see how the shed is getting on. So here we are in the cold light of day. Let's see how we're doing on the outside temperature. 2, 4, a little over 4. Yeah, because like I said, these go up in 2-degree increments on Celsius. So we are just a little over the 4, and it will creep up now because I've got it in my warm hand. So a little over 4. No change in the outside temperature then. Let's go take a look at what's going on inside. There we go. So the heater's still rolling away, and it was 4 earlier and 6.5 in here. So test 2. What have we got? 2, 4, 6, 8 and a bit. So basically 9 degrees. Where are we looking? Try and get the light on it. You see it? About 9 degrees. A little over the 8 mark, which I'm taking is about 9 degrees. So let's go write that down before I forget. I really should have invested in some digital thermometers to make it a tickle more accurate, but you get the idea. So inside now is 9 degrees. Now earlier we reckoned it about 6.5 degrees with a 4 degree outside. So that's basically, we've got an increase of at least 3 and a bit degrees, which is in, and I've kind of come in here a bit earlier than I did with the candle test because I know very well that this works. So it has increased the temperature, and obviously that's in only 1 hour. So the longer you leave it running, the more obviously the idea is it's going to release the temperature. As we can see, no other heat source in here, just the 4 tea lights in there. 1, 2, 3 and 4. I think you can see that. Just the 4. There's the other heater that lives in here, not switched on. Just so you know, we're not cheating. Temperature's going to climb just a touch now because I'm in here, and like I said, it doesn't take that much to warm this place up. So we've already got extra degrees out of it just by giving it the ceramic surround of the pots. But this is where we're really going to hammer it home. Let's try something else. Now then, heater fans, what we have here is a heater fan. La. These things are very clever. They work off the heat of whatever appliance you put them on, and it generates just enough power to operate these fans and blow the heat around to further improve the heat distribution about your place. These aren't cheap, I'm not gonna lie. These are quite expensive to buy, but they are very good at what they do. It does require a certain temperature to get them to work. So, will the plant pot do it? Let's find out. Alrighty then, heat fans. There is your heat fan. Look at it, spinning away. There's not really any way to cheat with this. That's the heat from the plant pot making them turn, and I can feel the draft. Now, the strangest thing with this fan is it actually operates better on paraffin heaters and on this than it does on the multi-fuel stove in the living room. I'll show you that stove in a little while and explain some things with it. But it doesn't work that well on the actual coal stove because through the top of that stove, the heat transference isn't sort of that hot because it has baffles and things to guide the heat to different places to make the smoke sort of recycle and reburn gases. It's clever stuff. Also, because it has the water jacket boiler on it, the heat doesn't come out of exactly the way you think it does, and a few other reasons. But on these little things where the heat is direct, you can see, ta-da, it's spinning away. And it's moving the heat, it's distributing it about through the air. And we are on now, if I can see the blue, there you go, where's the blue? There. It's gone up from 9, we're already on 10. And that has been sat on top of that pot heater for about 15 minutes whilst I was faffing about doing something else. And I just left it because it obviously has to heat up to get spinning. So for the final test, I'm going to leave this room, get rid of my heat out of this room, and then I'll come back in a little while and we will see if that fan has increased the heat potential. Okay then folks, I took a quick steak break. I got hungry. What are we looking? Outsides. 2, 4, just under 6. So just under 6, yeah. So 5 summit, basically, 5 something. Let's go see what's happening in here with this fan. It feels a lot warmer than outside, I can tell you that. And we are, oh, just slipping over the 10-degree mark. Yeah, just creeping over that 10. So we're about 11 degrees in here. With the fan assist, we are 11, and the outside is 5. So with those couple of modifications, the heat has gone up and up and up. No, like I say, it's not massive. You're not going to melt anything with it, but it's warmer, and it is visibly. I can feel it's warmer in here. And the temperature when we first started this was 4 degrees. It's now only 5. We've gained 1 degree outside. But from the inside, with the first just using candles, 6.5, which is 4, 5, 6, and we're now at 11. That's a big increase for 4 tea lights, and it shows you the difference that it makes every time we make a little adaptation. See, the fan there is still whirring away like a trooper. And if I can just pop that there in a minute. Move that. And that's a bit warm, do it quick. Oh, we can see we're still just on the 4 tea lights. There we go. We have raised the temperature. Hot. Now, if it had just raised it by 1 or 2 degrees versus outside, I'd say bit of a failure. But seriously, outside has gained 1 degree. In here, we're inside. We've come from the, because we started off at ambient temperature. We started off at 4 degrees in this shed. I'll let it acclimatise, and now we're at 11 degrees. 4 to 11. That is a jump. That is an increase. That is heat. So what we've got here is a multi-fuel stove. Mostly runs on coal and logs here, and I believe that this is an 8 kilowatt stove. Now, regardless of fuel or what you do, you are pretty much only ever going to get 8 kilowatts of heat power out of this stove. But this thing has a boiler inside it, a wraparound boiler that heats the water and runs the radiators upstairs. Now, if you was to take that boiler away and disconnect it from the upstairs heating, that would still be an 8 kilowatt stove, and it would still burn the exact same amount of fuel. But the upstairs would be cold. Ta-da! So by linking the boiler to it, it's not using any more fuel. We are, however, getting more heat. How? Well, we've transferred it, we've put it somewhere else, yeah? You might even say we've stored it. Now this is where things get possibly a little more complicated. Above this stove is about 5 or 6 tons worth of brickwork, if not more, otherwise known as a chimney. In this room right now, I don't know what the temperature exactly is. I've took the thermometer away. I think there's one on this barometer over here. Give me a minute. Right, let's have a look. Yeah, we are about 21, 22 degrees in this room right now. That fire, though, has been out. It's not been burning since about 6 o'clock this morning. You fill it before you go to bed. It's still sort of glowing when you get up, but it's for all intent, the fuel is done. It's spent, it's been burnt. But it's still 22 degrees in here, yeah? Even though we know it's about 4 degrees, if not a touch lower outside. And standing here, where I'm stood right now, I am physically warm. And the reason is all these tons of masonry. I don't know if brick qualifies as masonry, isn't masonry stone? Whatever. The brick. This isn't actually the brick, neither. That's wallpaper that looks like bricks. Touch that and it's warm, you can feel it. That is coming out now. It is the chimney itself is acting like one massive storage heater, and it does so upstairs. Anywhere in this house where you can access the chimney, you can touch it and it's going to be warm. Even though this fire has been not burning now for 6 hours or more. The brickwork in there, you don't even have to touch it, you can just hold your hand next to it and you can feel straight away warmth is coming away from that. So, to all those people who say you can't get more heat out of a candle than what a candle puts out, I agree. It's still warm in this house. Now, the fire isn't burning, it's completely out. Yet the chimney is heating the house now. Have I got more than 8 kilowatts out of that fire? In a funny sort of way, I have, yeah. Did I make the fuel burn hotter? No. Nope, it's still an 8 kilowatt fire. It's still running the same amount of coal and logs. It's doing exactly the same thing, but I am getting more heat out of it, yes. You can get more heat out of something. No, you can't make the candle itself put out more heat, but you can do smarter things with it. You can do cleverer things with that heat. For example, a lot of, not everybody has a chimney, brick, stone or otherwise. So take for example, say a log cabin, and I know, yeah, a lot of cabins can have brick and stone chimneys if you've chosen to build one. But imagine that they don't. So instead of this chimney, we just had a steel pipe running up and out through the top of your building. Now, that steel chimney is going to be a brilliant, brilliant heating system when the fire's lit and burning. However, as soon as that fire goes out, the temperature is going to start dropping. Yeah? It'll keep it in so well. A log cabin, logs are great insulators. They are. They do really, really well at stopping the heat from sort of passing through. Now therein sort of lies the problem of why a log cabin with a steel chimney would cool down so fast. Steel is a fabulous conductor. It's going to lose that heat as quick as it can. That's what it does. It's going to shed through that heat as quick as it can. The wood is never going to heat up significantly enough to hold the temperature any length of time to act like a storage heater. You need the stone for that, the brick for that. Wood, yes, it'll be warm to the touch. It usually is anyway because it's a great insulator. So the wood will do a brilliant job of holding the heat in your cabin, but without a stone chimney or brick chimney, you haven't got anything to hang on to that heat to keep slowly letting it out. If it was just a steel pipe, by now that steel pipe, I mean, yeah, the surface of the stove to touch is cold. It's iron, so it's already cooled. You touch it now, it's cold. Touch the wall, warm. Because the stone will hang on to that heat and slowly let it out. This is why everybody's got this idea that castles and all buildings like that are always cold. No, they're not. Once you've warmed them up, they stay warm. They stay warm for a heck of a long time. That's why we have stone chimneys. Some little clever so-and-so. You know, you'll see other bushcrafters do it, what they call happy rocks. They'll heat rocks up round a fire and then they'll put them under their hammocks, yeah, on other bits of wood and stuff to stop them contacting the ground. Obviously the ground will steal a lot of heat, but you stack them underneath your hammock or whatever and they will sit there for 6 to 8 hours letting heat back out onto you. They are working as a storage heater. So in essence, heat is something that you can do a lot with, but you've got to hang on to it and you've got to distribute it. Yes, the temperature of those candles is the same. They are putting out the same amount of heat. The pots are helping transfer it to the air. And as we've already said, air doesn't want to be warmed up. It doesn't like it. It does not like it. So you're giving it that advantage to do so. If you stacked 4 or 5 pots on top of it, it may even make it more efficient. The proof is in everybody's houses. You've got radiators. Now, just to touch on this, I'm not saying that this thing is a heat solution that's going to heat your house. I'm not saying that this is going to be a replacement for your fires and your boilers or anything like that. No. No, 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 no. Can it add heat to the environment of your home and maybe make your boiler kick in a little bit less and save some gas? Yeah, Of course it can. For the price of a tea light candle, one of them, like £1 for a bag of 40 or something like that, it can add heat. If you've got a bathroom that is maybe not completely outside, but sort of separate from the rest of the building, will the plant pot heater stop your pipes from freezing? Yeah, it will. It will. Yeah, absolutely. Could you put it in your greenhouse? Polytunnels. Yeah, you could. Could you use it somewhere? Maybe you've got buildings outside with freezers in it, and contrary to popular belief, freezers as a device don't like being in super cold atmospheres. You might think, oh, you're doing it a favour because it's cold and that's the job it does. No, you're not helping it at all. You've got to remember that the way a freezer works is to remove heat from inside of it, and then using a radiator distributes it out of the back. So they don't like being in super cold environments. It slows that process down. Would the plant pot heater keep the environment warm enough to help that function? Yes. Yes, it would. It has its uses. I'm not saying do this and you can live, your heat will be free. No. Can it make a difference? Can it improve things? Oh yeah. Small spaces, oh, clock's going off now. Small spaces and stuff, yes. Absolutely. But there is something more important about the plant pot heater for me, and that is, if you watch the original video, with a lot of the stoves I tend to test can you make a brew on it, and the plant pot heater is one that you can boil a brew. If you can boil a brew, you can cook. If you've just got a couple of ceramic plant pots and a handful of candles, you've got a stove. You can boil a brew in a power cut. You've got a bit of light, you can boil a brew, and you've got some heat. Everybody out there is thinking, well, not everybody, some people already know. When your electric goes, your boiler goes down too. Yes, it's burning gas. What controls all that? Little computers and electric. When the power's out, your heating's out, unless you're using fire. In emergencies, this could be a solution to certain issues. You're not going to run your house on it. I never said that you were. Does it work? Yes. I hope we understand it. Like I said, I don't want to patronise anybody. I understand your logic. You can't get more heat out of a cat. Yeah, I know you can't. And I get it. My brain thinks the same way. I'm looking at it going, well, but as a species, we drive for efficiency. As I said in the comments the other day, a steam train uses what's called, I think it's a supercharger. And it's a simple system. All it's doing is pre-warming the water before it goes into its boiler to get more out of it. And the way it does that is it uses the waste steam before it's ejected out of the engine. It uses the waste steam to warm the pipework, to warm the water before it goes in the boiler. Some of them are even cleverer, because that waste steam that used to always just be sort of ejected out of the engine, that cools and recondenses as it heats the now cold water. So when it's condensed, it turns back to water and goes back into the engine's tanks. The needle returns to the start of the song and we all go around again. Are we getting more out of the coal we're burning? We are. We're getting more out of the coal. Are we getting more heat out of the coal we're burning? Strictly speaking, no, we're not. We're making better use of it. That will always be 8 kilowatts no matter what you do to it, but you can store it. It is possible to get more out of things than what we think. Turbochargers on cars. Now, these days a turbocharger is mostly used to make your car faster, a bit more sporty, yeah, all of that. But the real reason that they were invented was to make fuel efficiency higher. A correctly set turbo will generate more power through the engine without using extra fuel, and it's powered by exhaust gas. Heat, energy, can't be destroyed, it can only be converted. How you choose to convert it. An exhaust of a car is very hot. That gas is very hot as it's leaving that engine. Without using things like turbos and the like, you're just letting that to atmosphere, so that heat is going nowhere, it's just being ditched. Turbo will take that heat and pressure and turn it into something useful. Air pressure to go into the engine, so there's technically more combustion, it runs better, it runs more efficiency. Yes, you're getting more out of that fuel. Are you, strictly speaking, making it hotter? Or no, not really, no. You're just using it far, far more efficiently. And it really is that simple. this is how, you know, this is how we've improved things, improved designs. It's pushing greater efficiency out of what we've got, what we're using. It's very simple. And as I've said, I'm not trying to annoy anybody here, and I'm not trying to call anybody stupid or anything. I'm not saying that. Some people have been a little bit over aggressive in the comments. You're like, I don't care. Try it out. Just have a go with it. It's absolutely, it's not the greatest thing since sliced bread, but it works. You can boil a brew. Now, I hope that's helped a little bit, as I'm still stood here feeling that warmth creeping out of those lovely chimney bricks. Yeah, and as long as you don't let the chimney cool down fully before you next light your fire, you keep that cycle going. You are getting more heat. It's that simple. You're getting more heat. It's just the way it works, because you're handling it more efficiently. And we've done everything as human beings to do this, to keep the heat we generate. Cavity wall insulation, double glazing, all of that. Take, for example, a thermos flask. I know I'm ranting a bit now. Thermos flask, how long does that stay hot for? You're keeping that heat. And those are just foil on glass with an airspace mostly. And they hang on to it and hang on to it and hang on to it and hang on to it. Have you got more heat out of that boiled water? No. I mean, in a funny sort of way, yeah, but you haven't actually got more heat. You've had heat for longer. That's how it works. So that, I think, hopefully has put this issue to bed. And that's enough waffle. I've been waffling on now for far too long. I don't want to bore you to death. So as always, guys, get out there, get bushcrafting, be safe, get having fun, get coming up with wacky heating solutions. And if you've got anything you'd like me to test, please do comment and say so. I don't mind. If you think something I've done's absolutely rubbish, let me know. You could be a bit more polite, but let me know and I'll test it for you. I don't mind. A video's a video. And there's a lot of people watching who aren't subscribed. If you would like to subscribe, it does help, makes a difference. I'm not going to push it because, like I say, some people out there clearly think this channel's nonsense and don't want to subscribe. Don't. So it's up to you. It just helps if you do. And like I've said, anything you want to know, feel free, slap a comment on it. You want to see me test something, do something else, absolutely happy to do so. And that's all really I've got to waffle about this plant pot heater. So until next time, guys, until the next video, which who knows what that'll be. Today's wasn't supposed to be this, but I thought we'll just answer this problem now. Until next time, Bosun Dan is out. I will catch you, hopefully, if you're still here, I will catch you on the next one.